In major cities, poverty and crime are directly correlated. The Exodus Transitional community in New York City is working to break this vicious cycle, a mission that is very close to the founder, Julio Medina's heart. Take a look at his story.
My name is Julio Medina, and I'm the Executive Director of Exodus Transitional Community. Exodus Transitional Community is a not-for-profit with locations in East Harlem, Newburgh, and Poughkeepsie. It was created 18 years ago, and it was created behind the opportunity to help others, and let me explain that. For me, it was very different as starting and being the founder of this organization. I grew up in the South Bronx, housing developments, poorest area in the country back then, the South Bronx. Not an excuse, only an explanation. And the old adage of there were no role models coming through our neighborhood, you know. I know we've heard that a lot. But the role models that we did see who we thought were successful at that very young, impressionable mind was drug dealers. They seem to be the ones who can make it in life. They seem to be the ones who had things that can help someone get out the ghetto. And at that young age, I said, I don't know what they do, but I will do that. And I will be successful like they are successful. And I realized that it was drugs. And they were selling drugs in the community, and they were selling drugs in different places. And again, at that age, I knew something was wrong. Responsibility and accountability and all those words I didn't know yet. And at that young age of 13, 14, I decided to take that route. I ended up getting prosecuted by the Organized Crime Task Force of the Northern District in New York. Myself and 9 other co-defendants. I was considered the drug leader and ended up with a life sentence with a minimum of 10 years.
Resorting to crime to escape poverty, Julio's story is similar to many others in the prison system. However, even in a jail cell, hope is not lost.
I had a visit, and in the you know, so you get to get a weekly visit. It depends where you're at. And this was in another maximum security prison I was in. It was Eastern Correctional Facility. And I'm in the visiting room, and I remember my niece telling me about her boyfriend. And she's telling me how much I'm going to love her boyfriend. So I'm like, okay, great. You know, he must be a good guy, right? And she says, no, I want you to know you're really gonna love him, you know. I'm like, okay, cool. I'm glad you found the right guy. So again, I'm, you know, you got a med student, or pre-law, or, I'm thinking all these other things, TBN reporter or something, you know. And before the visit ends, she tells me again, no, you're really gonna like this guy. And I'm like, wonderful. I can't wait to meet him. She said I'll bring him up in one of the visits. So I called my sister, and I asked my sister, so who is he? I mean, she spoke so much about him. I want to know who it is. And my sister said, he's one of the biggest drug dealers in New York. And that was the moment for me where I remember going back to my cell. I got on my knees. I said, God, I don't know what I'm going to do. I sold drugs since I was a kid. But I promise you, I will never sell another drug again. And I will work towards changing those things that I did wrong. Because if that's the image that you leave behind, if that's all they saw, and now men are being emulated in the same way that they're looking for, I did something terribly wrong. And that brought it home. And not that I know I didn't do anything wrong, but that brought it home. I went to New York Theological Seminary. They have a master's program at Sing Sing, so I was able to graduate from that program. I was in the chapel. I was working with the chaplain. For me, I said, you know what, this will be my walk from now I will serve my God from now on. And you know, so you're doing the best you can in a very dark environment. Years later, I was released. I saw so many good people who will never get out again that I vowed to do something for them. And I didn't know what that was, but I said, I want for everyone to have a space to come, to talk, to figure out life outside of crime, to figure out life outside of prison. And others came up with this concept of Exodus, you know. In the 18 years we've been around, we have 3 sites now. We have a site here in New York City. We have a site in Newburgh, which is about an hour from New York City. And we have a site in Poughkeepsie, which is about an hour and a half from New York City.
The radical transformation that happened in Julio's life is truly incredible. Let's take a deeper look at how the Exodus Transitional Community is helping former inmates leave a life of crime behind for good and transition back into society.
We have about 32 people on staff. And we're constantly looking for ways to assist others. We work from something called the Exodus contract, which basically, as we talked about, we're not defined by the worst moment of our lives. We take a holistic approach to reentry. We understand there's connection to family, there's employment, there's substance abuse, being physically fit, not putting anything foreign in your body. There's a vocation, education. What are some of those things you want to do? You know, how do you get back? There's community involvement. How do you volunteer in the communities that remember you as this certain person? And the cornerstone for that is spirituality, you know, because even if all those other pieces are connected, if there's a void, we believe the temptation to recidivate still exists. So for us, it's taking that approach and being able to make certain that anyone who walks through our doors are serviced. A little bit about the staff. The staff reflects the population as well. So much of the staff you meet here has been justice involved, has been to prison. Who better? Who better? I always like to say, you know, we're architects. We know where the holes are. We know how to build around those holes. And if people have some deficits, we try to look at the strengths and approach it through a strength-based approach.
I worked for a financial institution for about 5 years, and the company relocated to Columbus, Ohio. And I did not want to transition to another state, so I decided to stay, and my position became available kind of like 6 months after, and I reapplied, and I was denied the opportunity to gain because I was in a transition of a criminal case investigation, and I was not granted the job. So I was left unemployed and devastated. I have a felony conviction as a result of that case, and I thought that if I applied for other jobs, I would be denied because of the felony, and in fact, that did happen. And every time it did, I felt that I was hopeless. My felony involved 18 days in a county prison or county jail. And as little as that may sound, it's the same as having done 18 years. And so with that, I faced the same challenge as someone who did any criminal activity that could have been worse than what I was involved with, and it's just as bad. I mean, the worst struggle is not being able to find a job when you come home. How are you supposed to sustain yourself and provide for your family if you don't have the resources or even a hope that you will get employed and regain your confidence and retrack your life into positive activities? It's kind of like impossible. When I came to Exodus, I was a participant. I did the wilderness program, and I learned a series of trades in getting to prepare my resume, interviewing, answering, you know, the right providing the right answers to the question of being involved in a felony activity. And so I gained those skills, and I was fortunate that at the end of my wilderness training, we provide our resumes to make sure that we have, we're ready to go out on interviews. And it happened so that our executive director, Julio Medina, was looking for an executive assistant. And so I had that experience. I have an associate in business administration management and had worked in the past in that area. And so I was interviewed by him, by the treasurer, and our accountants. And I've been here since then. Since 2008, I've been blessed with an opportunity. And now the greatest satisfaction is being able to tell others that they can do it, that there is no one that can stop them, that not the felony, not the discrimination against, having a felony. It's all worth it to keep just pushing forward until you make it through.
We have a presence in prison right now. We have an Exodus program at Green Haven Correctional Facility, which is a maximum security prison in Stormville, New York. And everyone, I think, in prison, 52,000 people in New York State have probably heard of Exodus at some point. So we still have a presence in many of the prisons, not only in New York State, but in different states as well. We leave our information. People contact us. They could walk in on a Monday morning or whatever day. Some people come in with their bags right from prison. And we do our best. I think, the first 2 questions we ask: did you eat? And where did you sleep? Because some people have no place to come home to. So they may be riding the subway until they can get here. So we want to make sure that when they walk in our doors, the first 2 questions they hear is that there's no judgment. We don't care who you are. You come in, you're serviced. We'll find the space for you. Why? We know what that's like. We know what that's like saying, okay, come back in 2 weeks. Or, our program is, I'm sorry, you don't qualify because of your crime is, something that we embrace everyone here. We realize, again, and the staff realizes that we've been through that, and that pain that of being rejected, on top of all the rejection we've had already, So again, someone comes in and we'll service them. We are successful, but I mean, for me, I think the greatest part would be one day to be out of business, right? That this country has come to a space where they realize, someone getting out of prison isn't a villain or any of those things. It's a brother or sister you just haven't had the opportunity to meet yet. But until then, we continue to do this work. We believe in our mission. We believe in our goals. We're always looking for help. So, there are always volunteers opportunities at hand for anyone, in the area. We're always looking for donations. We want to keep our of course, program running. And we've done just that for the last 18 years. So we have continually trying to make certain that the country realizes, that people realize that I'm a father, I'm a husband, but I was once convicted of a felony. So for us, it's just being able to say, I'm no demon, I'm no villain, I'm trying to do the best we can with the tools that God provided.
It is so encouraging to see organizations making a difference in the community and transforming lives. If you would like to lend a helping hand to either the Salvation Army or the Exodus Transitional Community, be sure to reach out to them. Thanks for watching. See you next time.